push it as far as they can. Yeah. The wonderful thing is, Jerry and Sam, they get to see the old dogs. The young pups need to learn new tricks. So they're up there talking about their love life, and then we start talking about metaphysics, metaphysical engineering, the esoterics of the universe, why it is that the ninth chakra will not save you when the other chakras, of course, are not shining in that particular coordination and spectrum. And then you start looking and I say, don't do the old stuff, whatever you, don't repeat yourself. I'll say that again, don't repeat yourself. And he said, for you, I will make half up. I said, you only half heard me, didn't you? The theme of word jazz is never the same twice. I'll say that again. No, I won't. Never the same twice. But he only heard taking old stuff and just embroidering the words. He tried it out. He did something he'd done at the Blues Jam on Monday nights, which is the Victory Grill. You're welcome to come, be part of it if you like. But it failed to convince the musicians in the audience because they were waiting for something fresh. And experience means that you're going to look for panaceas to death. And death can surprise you at any time. It can come like a habit or a job. It can say, hey, you're not from around here, are you? Death got a finger in every pie. Tastes it and says, I think I've tasted this before. And you realise the only way to outwit death is to do something new more. But these are young pups, Sam Kay and Ajari, and they're wonderful souls. They've been here. Sam hasn't. And they want to so much convince the world because they've got these formations and poems in their mind that they have made harmonic associations of words and images and metaphors and ideas and assonance that will always add up to something else, except they're not living in the moment. They're importing an experience that they've experienced before, and they're trying to push it through a closed door. They don't realize they can open the door, just walk out in open air, and just let the whole world sing through there. But they are afraid, in case they're not good enough, in case they make a mistake, in case they cannot articulate the feelings of fate, in case just someone says, that I've heard that one before. I'm the sort of guy to say, I've heard that one before. Can you give us something new? Can you give us something more? Because we're all investing in this. We're investing our time, energy, focus, concentration. We really want to get a return on our investment. We don't just want to sit through our life as if we're an audience at Paul McCartney's concert, clapping like penguins, filing out after the third encore, telling how wonderful it was to hear the song 50 years ago. We don't want that. We want something small, living, a circle, a spiral, ellipses, not squares or rectangles like the skyscraper made for Californians to invest in. No, something eccentric like full English cafe where anything can happen at any time. You never know what's going to happen next. That's what we invest in. Now, expression, of course, is a prohibited species unless you do it within the limits of the law. And they say, you know, that's not poetry, it doesn't rhyme. That's not poetry of our own time. I thought all the good poets were all dead and buried on. Can't you leave them alone and just move on? Do some rap, some trip hop. Do some fresh rap. Do something new like that. We just say, hey, it's a conversation. We realise it's open. It's sort of like all of us saying, well, what's going to happen next? We don't really know, do we? So that was a good week. 2 significant experiences in 2 separate nights, but the third one, of course, was missing the experience this morning. With my full body attentive, I really wanted to be demonstrating. Now, normally I'm invited to any demonstration because the last 2 left. I'm standing up there for peace and love, but allegedly called progress. I didn't get anything of that from the Monsanto people that were fully occupied with their hearts and minds, and I realized everyone's got their own road to walk upon. And I don't mind being blind, but I slept through this morning. I had beautiful dreams, and I wrote poems that were magnificent. And I'd like to share some of these with you, because that's what I did. Instead of demonstrating against Monsanto, I demonstrated for beauty and harmony. You see, I have a friend who works in the hospice in Huddersfield in England. She says to me, I've been eaten by a vampire. You see, she's getting older. She's working in the hospice where people are dying. It's taking all her soul. Now, she's an artist, a poet, organised with the Yorkshire Poets. A wonderful soul. I've stayed with her many a time and off. She organised last year a show inside a Huddersfield Park, and I did poetry inside a park where the rest of the people were picnicking on Sunday in the park. Now, that sort of thing is magical and wonderful. So I wrote back this poem to her, affirming the fact that she will always be magical. Thanks. Thank you. Jeremy, very much so.
Hey, Thom.
Yeah, man.
Can we ask you,
Yes.
watch out for the popping.
I like popping.
Piss off with the popping thing, okay, Skull?
Okay.
That's the last time I'm gonna fucking tell you.
It's not just about now. It's not just about
You gonna
now.
join us? Oh, okay.
No, he's leaving. He's got somewhere else to be. Somewhere better. Somewhere with better people. Somewhere cooler.
Somebody sent through that stuff.
Where are you going, Josh?
Slash your tires.
Oh, that's right. Thank you, Josh. Awful. Pick the right car.
Son of a bitch.
He's not leaving.
Nah.
His beer is still
Beer is there. He's got us. Very much got us.
Right. I'll be right back.
Oh, Jared, don't go.
I'll be
I'll
right
play.
He's
back.
got someplace better to be. He's
I'll play.
got some other. He's got.
There's the beer, and then
Where?
the guy in the blue tambourine hat over there is gonna whoop your ass. You understand me? Tambourine, get on it.
Oh, no, I didn't use them that way.
Okay, if you watch it, you've got 3 good ones.
I've been having a double feature every night.
You haven't got a video player.
I don't have a VHS player.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure. We're good.
Watch your keys.
We're
And your keys.
It's alright. You know, it's not just about now. It's not just about now.
Better be that now.
The video's live and
Yeah.
the audio is streaming. And we'll record. Oh, did you want me to play? But I think you were.
Yeah? Oh, okay, sure. Yes, please. Yeah, yeah. That'd be
Nice.
nice.
Do that?
Yeah, that's right. Didn't expect, I didn't know. Didn't know. Anyway, Austin is happily stuck in the 60s, you know? You see reborn, reincarnated hippies, young people. I don't know how it happened, because I said to them, how come you are hippies when, you know, tie-dyed and all that sort of stuff and happy, when all you've got has Reagan and Thatcher, you know? And they say to me, well, it must be our parents. And some of them had grandparents who
Watch the popping, Scott.
Yeah, well,
he's never going to get over that, is he? That's the trouble when you try and control things. Oh, I did a poem about what I just told you about. Okay, this is what I just told you about. I wrote this one, Jazz Gardens.
We want something new, Thom. We want
no,
something fresh.
I understand this, but I understand that.
I'll do something new, right? A lot of people ask, where will you gather? And I say, well, English Cafe on Saturday night, and they say, well, the weather's bad, I'm not going to go out on the night where the weather is uncertain. I say, look, every time's uncertain. You can't have certainty. Certainty costs money. You haven't got money, so come to the place where none of us have got money. We've got money for wine and beer, but we haven't got money for anything else, you see. Anyway, I digress. I go to the HEB, I'll be honest about it, every Wednesday. I go to Sprouts for the double coupons, and then I go to the HEB. Why? I believe you. Let me tell you why. I meet my friends I can't meet anywhere else at the HEB. We just walk into each other around the cat food area because we're all cat people. And we ask ourselves, how's you been doing? And sometimes, in the aisles of the HEB, we will stumble upon each other and we'll talk and talk and talk, blocking all the trolleys trying to make their way, trying to walk towards the bargains these days. Well, it just happened just the other day, I met, I forget his name now, that's true hippie. But he comes Tuesday nights to Rue de Mire, and he's stoned all the time. I mean, you know, some people are stoned occasionally. I mean, he's stoned occasionally, but this man, I've never seen with his eyes not dilated, or whatever they call that. And
De-iolated.
De-iolated, exactly. And he's very genial, and when our friend got put in prison, he was the one who organised us to go and visit people in prison, right? Del Valley. And that's what I like about him, because he is of service to the humanity of the community. He's a giving sort of soul. So I bump into him down the cat food area, and then he bumps into a guy from the 60s I didn't know, because I wasn't here in the 60s, and I'm really glad I wasn't. But that his name was Michael, and he told me about, they used to have a surf shop in Austin. There's no surf in Austin, but they had a surf shop. Now that is hilarious to me, that you'd have a surf shop without surfing. And he mentioned all these other places that don't exist any longer. And I realised then, we all live in different geographies. It's archaeology. We look out logically, but these ghost things are the association of the community that we link to, the times that we are part of, and we see what is around us, even though it is a ghost, even though it's gone from us. Threadgills was another Threadgills. The armadillo doesn't exist. I was one of the last people to go to Liberty Lunch. There was a Liberty Lunch. Concerts used to be ecstatic. I think I saw Todd Rundgren, but I can't be sure. That's so history. Now the beautiful part is, it's gone. And the only part that lives on is when you stumble upon a hippie in the aisles of the HEB and you don't expect it, and you have this conversation, which brings it all back and evokes it all back and tells us that there is a loving nation. And this loving nation has to exist in the silence until it meets each other. Like, remember seeing ants meet each other? They swap antennas. They're swapping gossip. How's it down the ant line? Well, the ant's eloping at the moment. Oh, eloping, yes. Getting married. Oh, wow. See you at the ant nest. Shut up. That's what hippies do. Hippies do that. You know, they just actually have places and spaces where they feel safe enough. Now, when Rudemeyer closed down, there wasn't anywhere to go. So a little while we went to Happy Jack's place on the east. Now, Happy Jack has a very strong gardening instinct, shall we say. Lots of greenery, right? And so we couldn't go there all the time because we didn't want to expose him to agricultural inspections of any sort. So eventually when Rudemeyer opened up as a trailer, we went on the open stage Tuesday nights from 6 to 9, which is a story in itself too, by the way. Yeah, I'll explain that one. Many years ago we were doing poetry at a restaurant called Soma, 4th and Lavaca. It was one of those places you had to wear clothes and they had to match. Shoes too. No shirt, no shoes, no service, no thoughts, no feelings, just wallets. That's the sort of place we're in. And we all went in there and we came to the door and the door was shut. It was a Tuesday night. And we thought, what's going on here? They didn't tell us they'd closed their business. So I said to this New York poet, I said, can you go to that hairy place over there, the bicycles and the tattoos and the nose rings and those sort of things, and ask him if we can do poetry there. And the barista said, yeah, man, you can do poetry, but you got to get up when the music starts. What time's the music start? 9 o'clock. And that's why Rudemeyer for 16 years has been from 6 to 9 o'clock, 3 hours before the music starts. And that's been at 3 locations now, 4th and Lavaca, the Penfield, and now down on 1209 South 1st. Always Tuesday nights, always from 6 to 9, which goes to show that history does continue in a continuum until it's disrupted by other people imposing other agendas. But I digress. He was a Rudemeyerite. He still is a Rudemeyerite on Tuesday night. And what's happened down there is highly interesting because we have the poetry on stage. It's an open stage. If it rains, we get rained upon. If it's wet, we get wet upon. If it's cold, we get cold upon. And all those who want to come for conversation, they've moved down to the darker side of town and they sit around the table there, as our dear friend Outside is doing, and they smoke their cigarettes and they drink their beer, and we have a little circle like this around the table and the stage, and it's small, it's loving, but it's sort of like a conversation whereby people get up and respond to each other as to their life they're living in this particular space and time. Now, we're living in a different age. You can't go back to 60s, 50s, 80s, 90s, 2010, 201. It doesn't matter, it's all gone anyway. And what I love about the fact that we're still here is that the unknown presents itself in different manifold forms. And one of the nicest ones is conversation. So I always say, if you want to meet a hippie, go to the HEB, particularly after midnight, because a lot of them work as shelf stockers. The ones with the nose rings and the horns and things like that. And they're stacking the shelves at midnight, and they close one door, but one door's always open. And there's always a door open inside the minds of everyone. It's just a question of being in the right place the wrong time. And that's when you can hear the angels sing.
There you go, something new. Something new.
Bravo.
Good fun.
Oh, good. He's coming out. Hey, you want to hear this one I'm gonna read?
Oh, read?
Well, I know. But I was getting a lot out of the whole. I mean, it's sort of fresh. I'll read it fresh. I've never done this, so the fresh part is I'm reading it.
That's
off
the
an
point.
iPhone. Well, this is since I've never read off an iPhone. This would be shorter. You want to play, Jeremy?
No.
Okay. You gonna listen? Are you gonna listen?
You can't help listening.
Okay. Now the question, the real question is, will I ad lib from what I'm reading? And
God, I
if that
hope
gets to the
not.
point,
That's
you
a
know,
long ass fucking poem.
this
dude.
is a long, it's a long
I'm
point.
gonna start singing to myself eventually. You know, I just can't wait until the next time I get to speak again.
Okay, here we go. This is what I was telling you about. Oh, this is gonna turn over on me, boy.
Oh God, oh no, it's such crazy high tech shit.
Here we go. This is how do I tell? How do I tell? How do I tell the one who doesn't want to live anymore? Push on through. When I can barely hold my head up until the grief, the sorrow, the regret, the pain carry on just the same. How do I tell the ones who see black and white that in truth it's all just grays or rainbows, but never as simple as polar extremes? How do I tell the faint of heart, the weak, the downtrodden? And oh my God, there are so many downtrodden. Peace comes from within. How do I tell those who see no light because they are always looking through a tunnel? It all begins and ends with you. Just the same, just the same. Just the same as them, as you, as the rich, as the singer of blues or the hummer of reds. Just the same. Just the same, just the same. Because my rib hurts, it's killing me, I think to myself. Because my hands will not stop, and my tongue, English itself, breaks around my attempts to put into words. Exist. Exist, coexist. But above all else, continue. Continue to reach out past your own hand to the hands of others who might gain from what you have to say. No one knows your secrets until you tell them. I come as well as you come from the holy ground, to put it bluntly, right under your ass. I come as well as you come from the gut fiber thing that holds us all together. How do I tell? How do I tell? I tell it like this. And here's the joke.
Listening.
When the other hand touches yours, face or shoulder, right leg or left, back or side, tell them not, excuse me, but I am glad we had this time together, brother or sister. The world's mind will die, not from hard or software, but from the virtual conglomerate that is eating our faces off at every iPhone or cell we stare at. If you want to see the truth, look through the eyes, down into the very soul of the first person you see. And realize not as an ambitious fantasy or dream, but realize that they suffer just like you. Though how they explain it or put their tongue to it differs dramatically. My rib still hurts, my hand slow to stop, my sorrow, my regret, my grief are all only so real as I allow them to be. Brother, sister, mother, child, father, grandfather, grandmother, grandmother, and great-grandfather. uncle, aunts, cousins. There never ever needed to be a word called stranger. Let it become extinct. Let it become extinct. Let it become extinct when all the world is telling you. Peace comes from putting others at ease. Salute. Your loving, Scott.
Now we get to do freeform shit.
It's been a long time since Scott's read something.
Is this going to turn off? By itself?
That's what she said.
What do you mean is the machine
Well,
going to
yeah.
turn off?
I have no idea.
You know about Albert Lewis Stickler at all? Yeah. Good. It's a worthwhile story, it really is. This is the latest issue of Pecan Press, which is the magazine of the Hyde Park Residents Association. Now, there was a poet who used to sit on a park bench outside La Dolce Vita and outside Quackenbush Bakery, Duval, 41st Street. He'd write poems and he'd give them to people. He was a volunteer at the state hospital. But he also came to Rutamaya and New World Delhi, and he'd trade his poetry for coffee. They'd give him things. And people knew him and they loved him, and he was probably one of the most published poets in the whole of America. But when he got to be a bit old, he won the Austin Book Award, and he wrote a book called Working on My Death Chant. For the last 7 years of his life, he was working on how to, I guess, get ready for death. He had diabetes and heart palpitations. His last poem, well, I'll jump to the reason for telling you about this. A few weeks ago, we were gathered in Hyde Park for the dedication of a park to this poet, which has never happened in Austin and probably hasn't happened apart from Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey, where they got the body of Wordsworth and a few other poets, Tennyson, Coleridge, but they don't have a space apart from for their body. Anyway, Huff, after he was 70-something, he said, "I'm tired of it all." He wrote this poem in the hospital on Sunday, February 24th, 2002. Tired of being loved, tired of being left alone, tired of being loved, tired of being left alone. Gonna find myself a place where all I feel is at home. Now, that is a rendition of a Marlene Dietrich song. Is that all there is? But it didn't go far enough, because the rest of the song goes like, if that's all there is, then let's keep dancing. Now, they dedicate this park to him. I was there on the day and we did poems for him. And the poets, you may have seen the film Before Sunrise. There's a new one called Before Midnight, which is the third in the series. And it's done by Richard Linklater, and there's a poem by David Jewell in that movie, which is a pretty amazing thing. But this is David Jewell's poem about Huff Stickler. Huff walking to mail a poem, he walks back and forth to the mailbox, to the store, to the post office, to the coffee shop, and he gets coffee, and he smokes and he writes and he draws and he doesn't really know it or feel it, but he's a sort of saint, or as much of a saint as I'm likely to meet, because he has no pretensions and compassion for everyone, not smarmy, syrupy, stupid compassion. He's not afraid to mention it if someone is acting like an idiot, but he doesn't really blame them. He just sort of laughs. And he writes and he draws, and people love him in a million ways, like he's become everyone's grandfather, like he's an artistic Santa Claus. He walks and walks on legs that look at times not so sturdy, like he is, maybe, being helped by the angels. And on the day, that's May the 4th, they put this little book out of some of Huff's poems. I wanted to share because he won't be here to contradict them. Because there'll never be anyone like him. I never want to be him. I didn't ask to be a poet, though having a yard sale in heaven was the only thing I could afford. Mercy, forgive me for what I did and didn't do. Now in the sunlight on the porch of Rutamaya on this early day, forgive me, and I resolve to do better but fail probably. This pale winter sunlight seems to promise better. We live on the promises the light brings us, but especially this time of year. Coffee, in the early morning light. Surely something lasting can be built on this. I tell you what, all truth, I never meant to break a promise ever, but I fell like Icarus into a mortality I could never quite earn, and landed here on this strange, sad planet alone, and failed at so many things. And still I ask you to forgive me for what I did and didn't do, not for myself, but for the promise the light brings. Listening to what? Do I do it? Yeah, I'll give you more at the end, okay? I just want to share because he can't do them anymore.
That's my number. We'll keep the line, but I should.
Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
He wrote that at root of mine. Okay, so this is my favourite one. It's called Listen to Your Life. There's a way in which everything's on a level, if you know what I mean. Some days it's more important to scrub the bath than to write a poem. Some days I just want to walk. It's like you have to listen to your life, and you don't really know what's going to tell you. You see, it talks to all the other lives, and then a consensus is reached. That's how it really is. That's why too much routine is damaging you, acting before you have a chance to listen to your life. Do this long enough and you're completely out of touch. So what's the remedy? The remedy is simple. Every morning you get up and you listen to your life before you do anything. Wait for it to tell you what to do before rushing off headlong. It may tell you to just go into your routine, it may not, but you'll never know if you don't listen. In fact, if you don't listen long enough, you'll get completely out of touch. The only way to know is to check it out very carefully, because otherwise the life you're living may not be your own.
Is that John's poem, or did John read?
This is Albert Hochsticker's poetry.
Okay, so last 2 weekends ago when John read that, he was reading Hochsticker's.
Yeah, it's Hochsticker's. It's really important to know that these ones were written in Austin,
Well, I thought he wrote that.
and he'll never read them again, so I'll have to share with you. That's another one I really like, called The Way of Art. It seems to me that paralleling the paths of action and devotion, there is a path called art, and the sages of the East would recognize William Faulkner, Edward Hopper, Beethoven, William Carlos Williams, and address them as complete equals. It's a matter of intention and discipline, isn't it? Combined with a certain amount of God-given ability. It's what you're willing to go through, willing to give, isn't that it? It's a willingness to be a window through which others can see all the way out to infinity and all the way back to themselves. Isn't that wonderful? And this one about Lyndon Johnson, which really turned me around about Lyndon Johnson. Johnson City, Texas. Lyndon lay down amongst the wildflowers and forgot about Vietnam, about being president and all the things that trouble a man, and driving on past endurance and driving to do things he can never forgive himself for, perhaps, I don't know. I know he came home and let his hair grow and lay down among the wildflowers with Ladybird sitting beside him because it's on a Texas postcard. But I don't know what he thought. Maybe he thought death wasn't so bad. If he went to heaven, there'd be wildflowers, and hell couldn't be nearly as hard on a country boy as Washington, D.C. This one about singing. If you can't sing, how important it is to sing, especially if you can't. The song. My brother and I sang growing up. Sang love songs from operettas. Sang pop. Sang country and western. We didn't think about it. We just sang because we liked the way the sound came out of us. Didn't think about the words, just sang because it felt good. That music coming out of your body, and we tied our feelings to the music and let it all go like a kite sailing up into the night. No use asking us why, we just did it, we just sang. We sang our way, and then into another time when music was scarce and it was hard to find the music to tie the feelings to. I don't remember when I stopped singing, Jack. Stopped when he died, not 40 yet, still a young man. Tonight I sit and think about time and music and where people's lives go. And it's nighttime and the small breeze. I think about people like Pavarotti, Louis Armstrong, Ray Charles, singers who can put people's joy and sorrow into music and sing it for them. And I believe to my soul that there is no more powerful, wonderful thing to do in this world than to sing. And that of all the things in the world, a man poem can somehow get inside your mind, even when you think you're hiding from it. It's called The Last Poem. The Lost Poem. My father carried a poem with him all through his internment in a prison camp in the Philippines. Carried it with him for 4 years. Showed it to me one day, folded and refolded, pretty blurred, coming apart. I, in my teens, not thinking, nodded, went on, forgot. Years later, I tried to recall what poem it was, even a single line of it, but it was gone. The years go by, my mother's dead this long time. There's no one to ask. So I ponder it. And ponder motivations. What drives us? Ponder what drives me still to write with the same intensity after all these years. And ponder that lost poem. Perhaps that's part of it. I'm driven to create the poem I can't recall, the poem that carried him through 4 years of hell and home again. Or perhaps I'm driven to write a poem that will serve someone else as well. It's a nice thought. Anyway, my poem is someone's pocket, bent and faded, nourishing them, healing them through their own private hell. Man could do worse with his life. I evoke my father's image. Our eyes meet. He nods in agreement, starts to speak, then turns and walks off into the distance, bearing the lost poem with him.
Right on.
Very, very good, Thom.
That was his stuff. Really important.
Because they can't say it. He can't say it. So, you've been to Hot Mamas, Julien. This is about what happened. Some days, tomorrow we have 2 readings and a third one opening at Counterculture Cafe. Really good. On South First at 8 o'clock tomorrow night, right? So we've got...
The counterculture thing isn't tomorrow, it's in June.
Oh,
It starts
thank
like June 9th, I think.
Thank you. I was ahead of
Thank
myself. I really wanted to start tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah.
But this is about Hot Mamas, where we go on Sundays at 3 o'clock, which is on East 6th and Pedernales. An open stage run by Melanie Rose. And Melanie has her son with her and her musician lover. And this is what I saw when the poetry reading was happening. While we were seen to save the trees, our children were vandalizing the bamboo, bending over the poles and stripping the leaves, impaling them upon sticks to make a primitive art our ancestors would have been quite comfortable with. We were listening to peace in the afternoon sunlight while the children practiced war on nature with delight. Time soon made shadows of our best intentions. The young will have to deal with younger tomorrows. While we're here, we do the very best we can and hand the baton on to the next volunteer. There are no guarantees. There are no safety nets. All we have is us against the prevailing violence. Digital children practice drones within our very homes. Are they aware of deeper, darker monsters that we have not yet known? Spontaneity starts now. Unpredictable exhaustion weather patterns. Walk out of your house and forget everything. Walk towards or away from Dice Man, Medicine Woman, whether astrologically inclined or tarot challenged, or simply need a change. Change! Transform emotionally, physically, psychically, spiritually, as Lord Gautama was rich but left everything for enlightenment. Jesus blessed the poor and left with nothing. Every woman must face biological imperatives. Every relationship faces time term limits. We're all on invisible clocks. They rush blood through our veins. Pump that last beat of our hearts tells us, well, at least we were spontaneous. Serendipity connects us. Breeds illusion aloneness builds bridges between us. That coincidence you mentioned? When we first met and knew each other, as if for ages before and since, the way we share ideas, feelings, judgments, opinions, and sync parallel paths, each time I ask you for a colour or a number, we read each other's minds so easily. We are community consciousness. This is us, not just bubble awareness. You and Island Island threads hold us together tonight. Rely upon this serendipitous experience. In the quiet, with the silence, our slippered feet. When you can't hear the outside rush towards or away from. breath can rest and stop and sleep, taking time to wind down. Here there is only space for grace to enter, harmonies to heal within, mending the day's broken auric armour, annealing tin plate defence mechanisms. Silence, that solitary island, has a dimensional shift. You both be here and there simultaneously, replaying those cards on that deck chair Titanic, or being the cards themselves, witnesses of mysteries. Outside us, mad stars blink extinction from a million miles. Ages tramp feet on dust of empires. Miniature worlds are seen through these visions, kaleidoscopic possibilities into multifarious facets. Amusing, bemusing, perusing art and her vagrant gypsy tribal progeny, imagination and influence. Pulp fiction, graphic novels, cartoon morality, child eyes in elder sockets, watching, waiting witnesses. We are wonders when we walk towards, less when we walk away, perambulating pyramids knowing we're capable of more, staring at statues as mirrors, framed dreams implying what's outside us and within. This vision is still screening. In multiplexes, imagining widescreen future memories of who we are, will be, have been, an eye and ear, hand and foot, mind and mouth and tongue, parts enough to whole. When we stop, more appears, but kinetic and potential. We are engineers. I've got to just give you one more new one. As you know, I'm a poetry addict, but I'm also a movie addict. When a new movie comes out, I'm in the front row, laying it wash over me in IMAX. And so I went to my new favourite, which is...
Hypocrite!
Why? I said I love movies.
Treason!
No.
What's
I'll explain later.
I don't know.
I'll take him aside, we'll have a warm, cushy moment, and I'll
That's very good. So this, the first day they release movies is on Friday. Now you heard the story about Thursday night and Word Jazz, and the Friday morning I go to my Barton Creek Cinema. Now you know quite well they have a 13-year-old on the door and they don't care who you are. And they have underage at the concession counter and they don't care who you are. And once you're inside, I'm there all day, all night. I get to see more of the new visions they've unwrapped. So I've seen all the others I wanted to watch. Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious 6. I've seen Fast and Furious 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to see Fast and Furious 6.
I thought you like reruns.
I don't, but I want to see how the other people live. There's no good blocking yourself off from the world and saying, oh, I'm a vegetarian. No, I'm an omnivore. I'm a purist. No, what you got? Let's taste it all. Marlon Brando, the young ones, he was asked, what are you young kids revolting against? And he said those beautiful 3 words. What you got? That's right, what do you got? And that's what we want. What do you got? I want Fast and Furious 6. You see 1 to 5, I want to know what's going to come up. I want to see how they resurrect a dead character. She's been killed off in Fast and Furious 3. But that was an optical illusion. Now I must admit, I know what this is made of. Swift editing, simplistic dialogue, no plot at all, just explosions. And cars! 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 Fast cars! 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 So I think to myself, accept everything as it is. No judgments, just accept as is. Fast and Furious 6. And I must admit, I was inveigled into it in 2 sequences. There's a sequence near the end where they have this giant Russian plane which is towing 3 different cars and can't get off the ground, and they've got all these thousands of dollars of sports cars everywhere. I mean, more real estate than you could ever afford in your whole life, exploding and everything like that. And I was very impressed with that explosion. Eventually they blow the whole plane up, which is a very good way to finish the show. But I digress. Because you know the hero can't die, they've got another franchise. They'll be back next year in Fast and Furious 7. They're starting filming. Everybody knows It's on with the show. The franchise is more important than the acting. So I'm sitting there watching, and I'm watching the explosions go off, and I'm thinking, I wonder what the other people are thinking. They're not thinking. They're watching like me, explosions across a big wide screen with 3D and IMAX. Inside they're dreaming. But that's not enough. I want something more. So I sneak along the corridor and slip into Star Trek. Now, of course, I always carry my 3D glasses with me. Once you got them for life, I figure. So I want to see the world in 3D, HD, 4D, you name it. Just more, please. But before I went into Star Trek, I must admit I did slip into Epic, because the sessions don't really time. And Epic visually is astonishing.
That looks good.
Epic is something that is really, you must see it in 3D. It's got no plot at all. It's just about basically, it's stolen from Gulliver's Travels in Lilliput, small people, you know, and all the creatures who are protecting the forest are all small and invisible, and no one can see them at all. And their pal wants to destroy the forest because he had a hard childhood. Same old, same old. But the photography is extraordinary. And with 3D, all these parts of the forest come floating out in the cinema. So that was good enough for about 14 minutes. Then I went to Star Trek. And let me tell you, I'm not a Trekkie. I'm not a Trekkie, right? I'm not a Doctor Who-y. No way, Who-y. It's, I always thought Star Trek was boring.
Right.
I always thought it was dull, dull, dull. But this one is done by J.J. Abrams, who is now doing Star Wars as well as Star Trek.
Yep.
And I'm worried he might get confused as to which one he's doing. You know, and do a Star Wars thing and a Star Trek. But this is the most entertaining Star Trek you will ever see. Because that I have ever seen, shall we say. Because I saw parts of the other ones and they're just dull. How can you do such dullness? And it's visual, and you've got whales and everything. So what? But this one, right from the start, it deals with people's inability to obey. It's about that. And about whether you should break the prime directive, which is never cause harm. And that's what they do in the first 3 minutes.
That's
They
never interfere.
Never interfere. Okay. Let me just tell you, because you're never going to see it. Right? Starts off with a volcano, right? And the prime directive is, there's all these people running around with mud on their face, just like in South Austin. And they're all primitive people that haven't yet invented a nuclear war. But they've got this volcano, and the volcano's going to destroy them. Anyway, Spock goes into the volcano, and he's going to set off a nuclear fusion device which will block the volcano from destroying the primitive people. But you can't do that. I once asked this healer, what if, as a healer, you meet someone who's undergoing karmic learning through the pain they're experiencing? Are you allowing them to not learn if you take away their pain? And he said something very bright. He said, part of their karma is that they should experience a healer. I thought, that's pretty bright. Okay. So what happens, and this is straight from the start of the film, there's this clash of the prime directive being violated because Spock is in there and the little cord holding him snaps, right? And the guy in charge of the Enterprise thinks, well, what do we do? Do we go in and rescue Spock or let him go? You're supposed to let him go. And Spock logically is prepared for that, but they don't. They rescue him. And then Spock in spite, puts that in his report. So he gets the Enterprise taken away from him because of Spock's report, because Spock can't lie. He's half human and half machine. So that's a... the human part can lie through his teeth, but the machine can't. So that was right at the start. I thought, okay, you've got my attention now, hold it for another 2.5 hours. And they did. Because one piece after another, people are lying to each other, they're behaving badly to each other. You've probably seen The Wrath of Khan. Khan comes back into it all. And Khan is an extremely charismatic, intelligent, and articulate villain.
It is Khan.
It is Khan.
I knew it.
Yes. And
Awesome.
it is really, really good because the villain has more charisma than the hero. And he articulates his position about why he did all this stuff. because he's got all these nuclear weapons, allegedly, 70 nuclear weapons about to be to blow the planet apart, but they're not. They're his crew members he saved, because he would do anything for his family, his crew members. But there's twists and there's turns. So I'd say that one's worthwhile seeing. And now, you know, I'm now 6 hours into the Barton Creek cinema, right? Okay.
Wearing purple pants.
No, I dress like this for poetry, but I. What? What's this from Friday? Friday. The stories between now. Oh, that was yesterday, wasn't it? Time is a funny thing, isn't it? When you spend 8 hours inside a cinemaplex, time means nothing, and doesn't mean anything much to them either. After a while, you just think, God. Why am I watching other people's visions? I want to see what's out there that other people are buying and consuming. The #1 film is Fast and Furious 6. The #2 film is Epic. So I go, well, I do. #3 film is Star Trek. I've seen those. Why don't I go see #4? What's #4? The Hangover, Part 3. One of the worst pieces of shit you've ever seen in your life. That is absolutely not funny at all. It's a comedy that's not funny, full of pernicious people doing bad things. And that's it. It has no dimensions to it whatsoever. It's completely prosaic. It's dull and boring. It hasn't got enough explosions to justify its existence. So I walked out on a free film. Life is so strange, isn't it? Because you often think there's wisdom somewhere else. Someone's got it together. In LA and New York, there's some artistic achievements that have been put into the cinema, and they're going to package it and make it so everyone's going to see it like Riddick when it's released. You know, it's funny about Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel came to Austin, and I was at the old Alamo, which was in the city, Colorado. And Vin Diesel was there, and bye. Was it something we said?
Peace off.
No, be nice. They're nice people.
Peace off.
No, so I said to him as he signed my picture of Vin Diesel.
Penis.
No. Is it true you went to my homeland to film the first Riddick? Because it was filmed in North Queensland, right? North Queensland is rainforest territory where the rainforest comes down to the river. And there are islands off the coast where a lot of people go fishing for marlin and that. But there's this place called Kuranda, a rainforest, which we used to protest against the road going through. We didn't want roads near the rainforest. But they put a road through anyway, and that's all the tourists come through now to see where the rainforest used to go down the lead before the road came through. It's so funny, isn't it? You go to see the natural, the wild, that's in a cage, and you say, wow, that tiger really impressed me. Lucky I was out here watching from a distance. So it's cinema. I can program my visions. And I really want to know what other people are thinking and feeling, but I don't believe there's any greater wisdom out there than maybe in this room this evening. Who knows? Maybe there's a film going to be released next week, which will find me at Barton Creek, seen through 8 hours, sifting through 5 minutes of significant experience. As I said, the exploding aircraft, the Russian aircraft, held my attention for 4 or 5 minutes. The tank coming out and crushing all the cars on the road, that was a surprise in the Fast and Furious. The roads in Trafalgar Square being closed for a Fast and Furious 6 race, street race, that took me by surprise. For the rest of it is just cars and talk, banality, no morality whatsoever. I love movies with all my heart and soul. I've been watching them since I was young, and I will always be watching movies and never watch it on television, no. Don't watch it on a small phone, don't watch it on Netflix, no. I go to the big screen, I want to see in 3D and 4D and HD, everything. I want to see the show, I want to see widescreen visions. I want to see something I've never seen before. I want to see very, very special effects. I want to see more. And all you hand up to me is replay and retro. For God's sake, stop the franchising. I know there's something more. What about Titanic 2? We'd never get something like that.
It's coming.
I know.
We're working on it. Racing the Titanic.
Yeah. What about the end of the world? Oh, we've done that. Armageddon. 2012. And I often think, but then I stop thinking and realise, let's just go to the movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love you, Tom.
Oh, that's bad.
And your fucked up cat.
You can't handle it, can you?
I can't fucking handle the ducking.
We'll do one for and we'll start with the counterpoint to Tom's film scenario. My film scenario is I start watching films at about 1 in the morning.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
About midnight. It's normally about 1 or 2 or 1 or about 12, anywhere from 12 to 2 in the morning.
Penis comes out at about 12:45.
No, depending on the evening, and then I watch a double feature until about 4. And sometimes I go to sleep at either 4 or
I watch
5.
my double fisters at that point too.
Oh, not yet. So I normally go to bed somewhere around 4. It's somewhere around 4.
It's the same. It's the same.
It's the same picture.
Yeah, but it's a different color.
And I watch,
I want something new.
and I watch a film, and the most exciting thing I have about the film,
Yeah.
and it has nothing to do with the newness. I mean, I have appreciations of quality too, because I think there's certain things that work and certain things that don't. Like, for instance, I threw the film Alien Resurrections after it was over. I didn't stop to rewind it. I took it out, put it in its box, and threw it in the trash. Yeah, because anybody who's seen it would actually be wasting their time. And so I am doing a little editing of life and reality, etc. And then I see a film like Dark City, and I go, wow, that's great. I love that film. And spend a lot of time going to sleep going, what did I watch last night? Because they're double features, so I understand and I can sympathize with the four film thing. Your head gets sort of blurry. This was something I was hoping to do with music. No, okay. I'd like to. Somebody broke a cigarette after this. You can play. You can play. I have a really good one too.
As soon as you done, Jeremy.
I'm gonna wait for Jeremy because it should be done in music. And in quiet, it won't be near as good.
Here's your app. Oh, thank
Am I doing okay? Everybody happy with the guitar back?
Yeah, we're good.
It's not too much, not too little. I'm not talking to you, Mr. Fucking Give Me Cat North Face.
Whoa!
Mrs. Barrage, look at me, I'm too hip for Austin. Well, no shit, you don't even fucking live here, bitch.
Oh! Play the guitar.
I love you.
Your trailer's gonna burn.
I'll sleep in the dirt.
Yeah.
You will.
You'll like this.
Okay. About 20 minutes ago, I was sitting outside having a cigarette and rocking out to a Brave New World in front of Thom doing his poetry, and was in my mind dancing to certain lines. And it sounds like now's the time to do them. I'm going to break a lot of rules here. I'm going to do something that apparently in our language or in our environment seems like anathema. And I love that word anathema, but this really seems like anathema in this culture.
Eczema. Hang on.
Eczema.
Got it? So I'm going to break a lot of rules. I'm going to do something that normally doesn't happen in English. I'm going to use the phrase, this is an absolute. And there are going to be lots of them. Because as I see it, oftentimes I say something like, this is the most, or this is the most wonderful, or I love this more than. And then I have to stop. I can't say anything else because I've said the first one. So once you say the first one, you can't say any more. So this time I'm going to say lots of them. As I see it, the most important thing as a human being, or an artist, or a person, or a friend, is honesty. If you can be really, truly open and reveal your heart and yourself to all things around you, then you may have a chance at peace. If you can love more than anything else, if you can put your heart and your soul into the hand of the person next to you, if you can stare into any stranger's eyes and say, yes, you've got what I need, and I have something I want to share with you. If you can feel your fingertips in the hands of another person and know that their soul is your soul, you may have a chance. where we want to go. I want to go forward, not into tomorrow or the next day or the next day. I want to go forward into this thing that washes over my face like the great blue ocean, which is knowledge and knowing who the hell I am. We fear, we suffer, and I know sometimes it hurts more than your body can carry you. I have been there. I have wandered and let my hair fall into the sea like a mermaid too.
Right on.
We're talking about the good things tonight.
Yeah.
We're talking about an open mic where you can say this and that because the room is full of people you love. You know, the really simple God's honest truth is it's always like that. Raindrops coming down off your sill on your back porch, birds singing, cars going by, it's all just you. Except the one thing that is, everybody cares and they love you. And I mean me, I mean the guy in the house next to you, I mean the farmer in the garden, I mean everyone. We have one another. We have one another, and don't let anyone out. The most beautiful thing you have inside yourself should be for everyone to see. Let's talk about extremes. Let's talk about going to the ends of earth and going past time to the one you need, which is only someone you don't know. Someone you don't know. Someone you don't know. Is there any man or woman or child, soul you don't know? Because in your own, there is something brewing.
I don't play for Julien. He's a Nazi.
I'm not. I may be a fascist, but I'm not a Nazi. There's
You're
a
a
difference.
fat Nazi.
I'm not racist.
It's not fat.
I'm not racist.
Badass. Skinhead.
Well, I do need to lose about 12 pounds by my reckoning, but then I have the mental body image that 16-year-old girls get from reading Cosmo.
Okay.
I think I should be about 15 pounds underweight.
You're about 15 pounds douchebag weight.
You're belligerent today. It's very amusing.
Form.
My point was,
Form.
there's at least a few people here. Mr. Yellow, Purple, and Flowered, for instance. They remember what I was like when I wasn't wasted, miserable, and grieving.
I don't remember that.
No, you don't. You didn't know me before the relationship, never mind the death.
Thank God for small favors.
You're welcome. In fact, maybe Tom's really, no, they kind of did for a few minutes, and sort of. But whoever that person was that wasn't wasted and grieving and miserable and was busy and full of things to do is alive again. I think that's kind of what spawned one of the decisions to get back into coffee. Tom, remember when I drank coffee like most people breathe?
Oh yeah.
I got a lot of work written then, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Probably good.
I got a lot of thinking done then. I wasn't sort of floating around in a Four Loko inspired daze.
Fort Loco, yes.
It's a truly wonderful thing to be reborn,
Coffee good.
however you go about it. I mean, some people just wait until they die and then get reincarnated and don't have as much control over the whole rebirth process
That's true.
as you do if you still do it while you're in the same scarred and damaged flesh. I am managing a rebirth. Electronics help. I don't care what anyone says. These machines are wonderful things that attach the world to itself in ways it never has been. People have become famous off of bullshit they recorded themselves and put on YouTube. Self-publishing is at a level it's never been. I mean, I'm looking around and thinking most of the people here remember when concepts like Capitol Records and ABC and Knopf and Doubleday and Viking and such mattered. Remember how powerful and prestigious those names used to sound? In a galaxy far, far away. Now, they ain't all that. We don't need Columbia and CBS and Fox and even Sub Pop. That used to be considered an independent label. Now they look old and stodgy. Now, you are your own record label. You are your own publisher. Yeah, maybe you won't immediately get quite as much money as you would if you signed up with one of those names that used to sound like gods and sound like dinosaurs today. You don't get to make a Star Trek movie without a Paramount budget. Or a Star Wars movie without the assistance of Mickey Mouse.
Amen.
Which is just wrong somehow. Thank God for J.J. Abrams. He's the only saving grace of this nightmare. You actually went and saw the Fast and Furious 6, considering how many times you bitched at me about repeating myself? I mean, really. You spent money on that, though. I mean, come on. Oh, you just wandered in. Okay. Oh, yeah, you didn't use your free Taylor Swift ticket.
No, I didn't use that.
Should have given that one to me. I'd have gone to that. Why not? I'll take Mike D's opinion on these matters seriously enough that I would have gone. I trust Mikey. More than that, in fact, I hope he's one of the first interviews I do on this. Actually, you're going to be one of the first interviews I record as a video, too. As I create the channel. I need no CBS. I need no ESPN. I need no CNN.
The score was 7.
7 to what?
What you got?
666. 7 loses.
That's really witty. That's witty. Good call.
Anyway, I do believe my point was the marvels of the brave new world we are living in and the possibilities of rebirth in all of us. Or something like that. I didn't actually really have a point. Kind of. Well, I kind of did, and I kind of did.
Why?
I noticed
Why
one
must you
develop as I
sit next to the
continued to babble,
camera?
and so far
That's awful
that is the
narcissistic
point.
of you. Hang on just a second. Say hi.
We can all
Say
resurrect
hi.
ourselves every day just like the sun appears to do. That was a realization I had on LSD in Boulder about 13 years ago. When I realized that the Son of God was that burning thing in the sky.
Okay. I'm going to hold my head real quick. Hang on.
Or he's a black lesbian mushroom from outer space. I'm not sure which.
Well, then you guys have to
Or
take your
both.
seats then.
We all have as much power to resurrect ourselves as that black lesbian mushroom from outer space they call Jesus. Go thou and do likewise.
That was mostly nonsense for the scene work, I think.
I don't think that sense is worth anything anyway.
No, I have sense.
Petitioning
I'm a
consciousness.
whole bunch of non.
Everyday emails say, emergency, emergency. I can only deal with emergence. You want me to save the fill in the blanks. I am grateful for your conscientious consciousness that the only folk I can commune with are you, small individual, all too vulnerable humane beings. Largely individual, mostly individuals. You and I, we send out signals to the living. This is our petition. It does not ask you to forward or respond. It will only say the solitude teardrop dewdrop moment. A fragment of solitary is now Bradley Manning, Julien Assange. We become closer by remembering each other. This is not preaching to the choir because there is none. We're all singing for our lives. If I forward information is to expand our common awareness, to petition your consciousness into connection, expansion, celebration, and continuance. This is all I ask. Pass this petition on. Hi, all two of you. Here we are. And that's different ones on the table there for you. All around you is sacred. Earth, air, fire, water, metal, wood, forest, rivers, oceans, seas. Everything you see and feel has sentience. It responds to you. Blessed waters are already holy. Oasis in desert, a pre-existing gift. Graciousness in context of continuing co-creating allows us all existence. Gratitude in connection with all that is, Uluru, Kacharyuka, Sanoke Sangrada, the Bodhi tree, Mount Kailas, Tibet, Mount Sinai, Glastonbury Tor, Crater Lake, Mount Parnassus, Lake Atlayan, Guatemala, Border Seas, Sedona, Arizona, wherever you are, sacred. Attunement to what is before, during, after you with respect, humility. Long sagas spill secret public wisdom. Sacredness is everything. I know you can, but I cannot own more than I can hold, remember, or carry. I have lost more than I can recall, and carry my world in your arms. You know the best of me, forget the rest of me. There is more than memory, but I can't remember what, you see. Objects are terrorists. They resist death and have several owners. Their lifetimes are not biblically proscribed, often inventoried and lost. I have friends who do not worship objects. Thin, non-material, they eat less, make more, unframed art, they resist price tags, give more than they get, expand our common consciousness, they are living works of art. But I must eat, devour, digest, assimilate this world as takeaway, knowing it will sweep me up in its empty arms, transporting all of us to new conundrums, marching into spring and May as if our whole world depended upon it. To get here, you had to leave there. You do not have to live in that capital city pain. You can settle for a small village rest. I know you claim only work will redeem, but you can substitute play of consciousness. Dichotomies of polar opposites can be resolved by a unitary consciousness. By looking at events through different eyes, you can witness personal transformations. You're not apart from experience, you're part of all you've ever met. And if you do not wish out loud, you can always settle for silence. New tribes are gathering, adept at technology, aware of apps, adaptable, flexible as flash mobs, meditating software. They pixelate and Instagram, they post, repost, upload and down. They've always lived in a digital world, even with analog parents. They spend more time with their computers and phones than with other people. They speak differently, they smile with an engineer's wisdom. Rubik's Cube, Indigo children, beyond Marx and Coca-Cola, wired at all times speaking hashtags. They are engaged in recycling, water purification, third world hunger. They text and tweet continuously. Their Google World feed fed via Facebook connections and Wikipedia wisdom. They are as fragile as our future. Knowledge is rough justice. Weapons industries employ them. On weekends they volunteer pacifism. Beyond peace and love simplicities with huge student loans, crippling government debt, difficult personal relationships, they are here and now, here and now. Meet your children as the new elders, embrace your futures. And they say, I have a lot of people having birthdays. This is about being born. Perhaps you came into this world as a scream, slapped bottom protest. Maybe you were a La Boyere birth, natural as water immersion. From that moment when your battery arc was activated, you proceed upon a defunct notion of time. It runs out the end, screaming, or silent as the tomb. In between are long periods where nothing seems to happen, but it does. There is never fully silence. Hear your heartbeat, feel your pulse. Every step towards or away from, every breath a gift. When you stop for illness, food or rest, it's not for long. Your engine heart pound beats your blood into circulation until it stops. Final, you're no longer you. This is what time is. Change, non-negotiable. Count it, watch it disappear. All the clocks in the world will not buy you more time. Bank withdrawal, medical doctors, immortality serums, vitamins and minerals, empty pill bottles by your dying bedside, miracle cures, back from the dead or rescued by time's extension. Here is silence. Here is where we are tonight. Sing. Old technology. I don't know if anyone's got a letter recently. I was sent the letter L the other day. So I put it with M and O, P. Rare to get a letter that is not a form or bill or demand, rather handmade, written with love, caring enough to make it personal, not mock nor fake, just real enough to affirm a bridge across the abyss, a track through deserts, wilderness, a common conversation where space and time are reserved for specific individuals, and all enriched by the specificity of this. You see, nobody writes anymore. Calligraphy, cursive, all gone. Even birthday cards are rarely scrawled with more than perfunctory, momentary remarks. Stop, then start again slowly. Steal time back to make these moments more. In that one letter are two hands, two eyes, two hearts, two thoughts. All we can do is share who we really are. Hence this letter. And the modern world, the existence of bots. Bots. In the beginning there were programs. A matrix we all evolved from by intelligent designs. Complex codes gave way to programmers whose sole service was Windows repair and antivirus software. Apps in time evolved from South by Southwest, I am told, and they became adapted to environments. Some thrived with angel investors and venture capital, some went the way of Beta, VHS and Edsel. There will always be retro DJs who play 45s and LPs in a digital disco. Master programmers now monitor thought content in a post-wired world. Dissidents, cynics, Malthusians and WikiLeaks whistleblowers up against a Google databank faster than NSA, CIA, FBI combined. It's not communist China hacking codes of corporations, it's capitalist cadres inserting malware in Iranian bombs and controlling surveillance drones universally. Big Brother is watching. Speak into your computer, please. This conversation is being monitored. Always look on the bright side. Anyone ever heard of Rodriguez? Ever heard of him? Rodriguez was a singer who came out in the 60s, did one LP and disappeared. Became a carpenter, and all his records became famous in South Africa.
Oh, yeah.
Well, when he first came out, I actually saw him at a big pop festival, and he was shivering and freezing. A friend of mine put a blanket around his shoulders. But this is about the fickleness of the pop industry. In his first incarnation, when all his songs were fresh and new, Rodriguez was the truth we all listened to. Few others did. I recall his coming to Australia, singing at Sunbury Pop Festival, cold and alone, given a blanket by Adrian Rawlins. That image stuck with me, as did his songs, revived arbitrarily post-South African Renaissance. When having been defeated by neglect, he went back to manual labour, and those hands that played guitar hammered and nailed our world together. Now he returns, a film documents, he sings again, the message still a burning building, Rodriguez in the house. He came to Austin recently, which is great. My favourite artist is Ai Weiwei, who designed the bird nest for the Chinese Olympics, and now he's in prison, house arrest, for being imaginative. Art in 2013 embraces corruption, cronyism, pollution, politics. Here, renminbi tokens, there a Mao mock currency. Not a word need be said when the air is fetid. Factories belch out iPads. Workers suicide by jumping off dormitory moves. Do not mention Tibet, North Korea, or aircraft carriers. Do not mention those islands with two names and two owners, two navies patrolling. Avoid any references to the Great Firewall of China. Google Earth may be censored and Facebook banned, but look at classical Chinese art. Read more Confucius. Do not mention bicycles replaced by gridlock, toxic air, toxic earth, toxic waters. Above all, do not consider the works of Ai Weiwei and Yao Lu. While you are sleeping... Oh yeah. Remember I was going to go to the demonstration this morning, right? And I went on Facebook, and in my country they've already had the demonstration. And it was 16 hours ago. And no one, it didn't get in the media at all, but there was something like 40,000 people came out all around Australia to protest against Monsanto. So I put the thing from Australia there. It's like when September 11th happened, I went on the internet and see what would happen tomorrow. But I forgot the time zones are completely illusory.
while you're sleeping, while you're dreaming. Someone is walking in other time zones, perhaps on a telephone, seeking connection, maybe Facebooking, defeating all distance, face to face on a webcam, or maybe on Skype, Googling a night away, throwing time in a bucket, then burning all the evidence. Whole lifetimes like this, false paths, disillusionment, chanting Hare Krishna with gopis in the kitchen, playing rock star with pedophile tendencies, TV mirror interviewing themselves, photographing fish underwater, sitting in deserts to feel interrogatory heat, maintaining relationship through blood and taxes, adding objects to another inventory, treasure chesting foreign lands, freebooting a game, pirate radio in the Caribbean, spilling secrets to undercover agents, owl-wise in midnights, leaning into mornings, getting drunk just to know the difference, taking up smoking to feel some heat, stringing lines like dewdrops in early mornings, washing young minds so they come clean, becoming a participle in the continuous present tense, getting into a car to go somewhere else, coming back again, a stranger presence, beginning again. What else can we do? Talking with you, listening for golden truths. Solitary owl, writing in midnight hours, Japanese haiku. Sounds in the night time, wild deer or a hunter crashing into night. She eats venison, deer still outside her window. Do not know this fact. Stars above us now, silent in their blazing light, extinguished long ago. Time will not wait now. She is counting syllables while this world counts cash. Embracing Japan, Basho, not Fukushima, crashing into us. Radiation glows, nuclear reactors show, Chernobyl mutants. Seaweed inside us, oceans between us, call whale to dolphin. Life is a verb. Screech, pow, tick, tock, twang, bang, murmur, move, brum, brum, boom. Gurgle, click, quick, whiz, snip, slurp, slop, sip, hum, crunch, chitter, chatter, click, clack, clock, cow, boom. Flitter, flutter, split, splat, splop, quick, quack, honk. Make, mook, crank, crack, coin, coin, hip, hop, rub, rub, quack, quack, hiccup, sneak, beep, beep, bong, bong, bong. A few hunters are transforming their deer into venison, into sausages and hamburger patties, perhaps some horse meat adulteration, more slice-up obedient cows and chickens from factories, never thinking about animal cruelty. Hence schools in Texas, assessment over content, punishment over incentive, hence corporate mergers and takeovers. Food not bombs is the name of wise volunteers, too few who seek to feed the hungry rather than armed fighters. Cooperation over competition, negotiation over bellicose threats, brinkmanship, peace is prosperity, austerity makes thin soup, kindness cures, gentleness softens moments, drop your weapon stairs, open your arms. Solitary seagull riding wind and waves, hung in the sky like UFOs. Goat-pecking beaches, patrolling eternity like grey uniformed guards. They meet sky and clouds. Rise when wind lift wings awkward. Caw, 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 soaring in the sky sounds. You walked on that beach, you zipped up, well-jacketed footsteps slopping behind you like sandcastle tides. Surfers in wetsuits defied wet weather-seeking waves to take them to places they might return someday. If cold winds were kinder, less wild and violent, you might sit and watch the movie of this ocean as it bellies up detritus,
Memory Beach. There it is, under flowers and stone, photographing fairies, miniature universe. Here we are huge. As we imagine dinosaurs from 50s black and white movies tromping overhead, hiding beneath giant fronds, leaves and forests of another green one. Soundtrack dramatic, jarring sharp with discords and screams. Once we dreamed of carpet world and we were among the weave, tall and towering, size as perspective visions. All Ant World, Worm World, appropriate by Pixar and Disney. This universe we're tiny, world-spinning universe, unaware and uncaring. This one world ditto. Every garden holds secrets underneath. Other worlds compete for survival as above, so below. Oxygen, food, housing, transport and fame. Limited quantities, Mormons fill pile Armageddon supplies. Apocalypse adders make editings tonight. Every moment that begins and extends. We know it goes on. Well, here, we are gardens tonight. Seed, plant, water. Seasons swing through us as we rise, as we rise,
Hello.
as we fly. Another perfect moment. Spring. I bought a jar of Wild home. I got it at a market. Wild game, wild bird, elephant, ivory, tiger skin, dolphin in a can of fish, shark, flake and chips. Threatened species, I'll say, costs me the earth. Forest burned, traps laid, smugglers paid. I feel burned when I see confiscations at airports. Less for me and more the cost. You see, there is a loss of wild everywhere. So we buy what we can, legal like, and off the record bribe where we must to get that wild lust satisfied. Get it while you can. Soon man will be the last wild species. Cannibals in caves, indigenous on reservations. Until then, we make do with imitation dodo, dragon, dinosaur. Extinction always costs more. Imitations just won't do. Hunting wild game costs. Safaris in game parks, illegal cock and dog fights, even boxing matches. One day, there will only be forests of buildings and cities. We may not be wild anymore. We better go out and buy some more. Oh yeah!
I'm gonna try reading something again. And, yeah, well, I mean, no, I have phones in my pocket. Your phone's in my pocket, which for tonight is where it needs to be.
Okay, Scott, we're gonna do the thing here. I'll hit the button and three, two, one. One way to do it is you get slack in the front and slack in the back. Oh, okay. I don't have editing abilities yet. Oh, you don't? This is all new to me. Here we go. It's one of the most beautiful, fantastic things that can ever happen in an open mic is people come in you've never seen before, you've never met. And as far as I can tell, that's sort of the idea is you get to exchange, and it's you guys I'm talking about. You know, I'm talking about y'all because I've never seen you. I've never met. I'm Scott. Nice to meet you. I'm Scott.
The only other people here that we don't know are
yeah, we don't know yet. So I'm Scott, Julien, Jeremy, Wes, Josh, Rachel.
This guy over here is wearing pants.
And Thom. And so I've seen before. So we dig deep into our very core, our various libraries to find something that's sort of whatever.
Not redundant and ridiculous.
This thing keeps turning over. God, this is weird. And this is only the second time I've ever done this, mind you. So this is sort of new. This is called When I. Jeremy, don't go anywhere. You're going to want to hear this. Jeremy, you're going to want to hear this. This is to the lonely in us all. When I think of all the lost souls screaming, "Let it be me that death takes next," I want to get down on my knees and beg all of the higher powers, even if there be none, to do something to raise their spirits. Beg, plead, barter, deal, that there must be some way, God even, to lift their spirits so they do not grieve for a handout from death. For that is not, cannot be the way. And indeed, I have lain on my couch and heard, "Drink the bottle of codeine. Drink the bottle of codeine. Drink the bottle of codeine." But I did not. And some grace saw fit to bring me to this. Compassion for others, though we may never see them or touch their flesh or face, is the greatest gift that has been given us. And to those who cry out, "Death, take me! Take me away from all of this misery and suffering," I offer this vote of confidence. In all the universe that has or ever will be, there is only one of you that exists. None the same exactly in semblance or gesture, voice or piece. And were that bit of universal, eternal uniqueness to cease to exist, the rest of the world would come crashing in to fill the space that was left. Cuddle you, hold you, cuddle you, hold you, comfort you, cuddle you I will, until the final draw of my breath escapes me. Just one person in all the darkness is all I needed to know, that cared, that lifted me, that wanted to lift me up, to raise my spirits, to confirm belief in me and what I exist for really matters. And to you, I pass on that torch. Scream not to death, for his face you will someday surely see. But lift your eyes to the sound of peace, that is wind, that is your breath, that is love coexisting with every one of us. I plead, I borrow, I face death. I beg, I plead, I borrow to say that the real truth is to exist. When even all the world is just a figment of your imagination, and God, in fact, may not nor ever have existed. But you, oh sweet, miraculous, wonderful, you do. Whenever you know that, death will drift off back into the depths of the sea and disappear. And what will return to your ears is the wail song of all humanity singing to you. We love you for being you. We love you for being you. We love you. Peace, eternal grace, and the dignity to know the difference. Scott.
Right on. I got it.
Good.
I'll check the audio later.
Okay, I mean you personally too.
Mark the tape.
What?
Mark the tape.
Anyone care to like record me doing the same thing?
Just you need a stand. I have a stand that you can use.
Oh, Julien. Yeah, I don't know what. I have to just hold the thing because I don't have any bloody equipment right now. Oh, wonderful. Oh, that. That's like the cheap one. Yeah, it's just a webcam. I held it because I kind of put you in the center of this. I'm gonna move this bloody thing because it's not. Oh, that's the light up there, folks. That's the light. There we go. Oh, good.
In the meantime,
Want to be on camera, darling?
for today, the baby girl sat on my lap in the sunshine of the marketplace downtown as the Ecuador band played on. She smiled at my antics, bouncing on my knees, reminding my motherhood of tenderness. I've been surviving, thriving, striving, trying to do it all on my own, and then, as if the levee broke with the stagnant water that had been gathering poison enough to kill like Columbus did, came washing through my streets. The little girl returned to her parents, smiling as I sat and considered swimming to the shores of you. The exhaustion of knowing that I hadn't been dog paddling, let alone even trying to cross the great divide, little did I reckon, little did I know, that you were already by my side. Begging for affection from the confection of the forgotten birthday cakes of my own mother's neglect, the snow fell on my heart and melted into the swamp-like life I had allowed. I came out, and you came out, like the sunshine, and dried up all the rain, and this little itsy-bitsy spider was drowned out. Flat back, legs in the air, left for dead. But this itsy-bitsy spider got up again, but only as your avatar to convince others of the mightiness of you. You are my upgrade to my pay raise. You are my brand to generic to the clouds that prevailed. And now the shades around my face demonstrate how bright my future really is. The water left everything wet and ready. The new splendidness, freedom to enjoy, and today the sun is showing the heat like only Texas could, and today, for today, you're in my heart. For today, that is more than enough.
Miss, do you happen to be Kathleen? What's your first name?
Oh, there, Zoom. Wonderful idea. I didn't know how that worked.
I don't have your...
It zooms. I didn't know it zoomed.
I don't have your...
Get on with it. Yeah. Anyway, all right. 3, 2, 1.
I think I'm on. The technology is all a little new to me. Where did he get all these wonderful toys? Said the Joker. But I'm not here to talk about these wonderful toys. I'm here to talk about the post-nuclear family. Charles Dickens originally kind of gave us the idea that when we leave the family that we were born into behind, the family of blood and obligation, our purpose in the outside world and evidence of maturity and the process of maturity comes down to finding your other family, Finding the family you create as opposed to the one you are just happening in. The one you make as opposed to the one that made you. I'm reading Great Expectations, so that's very much on my mind. Wonderful, wonderful book. At any rate, I have a beautiful post-nuclear family. See, in the old days, the nuclear family was a mama and a papa and 2.3 children, and maybe the extended family was the parents of the parents, and there may have been cousins, and cousins have become pretty much irrelevant in the modern world that people travel, and you don't know your cousins. Your cousins used to be very important because they lived in the same town, and, well, in a lot of rural areas, you ended up marrying them. Which is one of the reasons that until travel developed, thought didn't develop to the degree that it has. When the gene pool's that thin, the best traits don't come together. But what we have here, in this little post-nuclear family, none of these people were born in relation to each other. All of these people put up with each other's demented qualities and fits of insanity and various peccadillos and mental illnesses and habits and tics and whatever else voluntarily. It's not like your parents where we put up with you because we have to. My late teacher, his mother once said to him, "I don't like you, but I love you." Not a very nice thing to say to your son. And so your parents can do that. They don't have to like you. They made you. They're stuck with you in a way that no one else is. I think real love is determined by the people that choose to put up with your crazy ass, whatever you do, whatever you say. Now those people, they mean it in a way that's completely different. It's not instinctive or mammalian or automatic or inevitable. It's choice. The nuclear family is biology and science. The post-nuclear family is an act of will. The post-nuclear family is an act of intelligence, decision, will, choice, determination. The people we choose to continue having around us and going through whatever layers of shit. The friends, they say, they seem to think friends are somehow less important than blood relations. I beg to differ. As much as I love the few blood relations I'm still affiliated with, they are completely distant from my day-to-day life and have no bearing. I can't call my relations at 4 o'clock in the morning when I haven't slept in 3 days and say, "Honey, come get me." I do have people I can say that to. Not at 4 o'clock in the morning usually, but I'm too polite to do that to them at 4 a.m. I'll do it in the afternoon when I know everybody else is awake and I'm not really disturbing anyone's peace. And the people that you can call on to listen to you ramble whatever upset, hideous, emotional shit you're going through, they aren't going to tell you to shut the fuck up. And we got a unique family in that sense, because we can spill our clean and dirty laundry, our blood and shit all over, amplified by microphones and videos, and we can also give out our flowers and happiness and rainbows, kittens, butterflies, and we do that too. We can put out whatever we have to put out. And the people around us will just let us get away with it, and at least 3/4 of the time they'll applaud even when they don't mean it. Like I said, Dickens made the point that the family you come from is your childhood. The family you make is what makes an adult of you. Your maturity comes in the choices of that second family, that post-nuclear family. I'm pretty sure I coined that phrase, by the way. I don't know, never heard it before. Maybe it's mine, maybe it ain't. But it still makes sense. And I guess that was my point, is that I deeply, deeply appreciate my post-nuclear family.
Best thing about this, you don't have to believe a word anyone says. The beautiful thing about creativity, it does not need to be believed. A storm, a rose, a garden, weeds, an ashtray, dogs, trees, lights. It is as if the circus comes to South Austin. Beer, smoke, laughter, chatter add to the pub truth we remember and forget simultaneously. All these lines, stories, songs, myths, poems, lies and fables are all just beginnings. They follow silver snail trails into back gardens where art and life collide over bills. Eternal this, clash of prose and poetic. Bird can't afford rent for nest, nor borrowed wings for sky. Tree can't afford leaves, nor family branches. Gets tree wilt, cries. Yet sprigs of green mean new trees spring forth. Cycles repeat, never the same. Holy earth, holy sky, holy water, holy fire. Don't believe a thing, that's a nice bunch. It's just scary when it's some like Sunday already, you know. So I'm a poetry addict, and I'm also a food addict and a movie addict. It's just about trying to eat the world. I tried to eat the world. I did a good job. I did this poem about, in San Francisco there's this buffet, all-you-can-eat buffet, which I took as a personal challenge. And so I wrote this poem about what happened. I knew I had won when I saw the terrified look in the eyes of the manager of the Japanese all-you-can-eat buffet. He thought, no more stock. Tomorrow it's all eat. That guy is eating everything I've got. Thought I could eat the world. Ate Chinese, ate Lebanese, ate buffet, ate takeaway, ate till my waist grew huge, ballooned, ooh. Realized I was eating with my eyes, not my ooh. Oh, what to do? Count calories, Weight Watchers, Overeaters Anonymous, smaller portions, donate to the hungry and the homeless, whose sometimes stomachs were also carb huge, distended and distorted like African babies and orphans. No Jim, just Will. My friend had starved himself from diabetes, but he was thin coat rack, skeleton Auschwitz. No anorexia nor bulimia for this penguin. I had been thin when young, starving as a student, eating opportunities, everything on my plate, a goat of a pan flute, work in progress until my friend said, I only lost weight, Thom, when I realized it was not what I was eating, it was what was eating me. I'm still digesting this. And I thought about half of Austin going to see Paul McCartney and the other half talking about it. When the band came to town, we bought tickets right away. There was a circus of enthusiasm that moved us all away from boredom and daily work into trust that they might just restore brightness to this jaded, faded, disappointed age. We had heard their anthems and wanted to see them play. Define as ye will, when they were on stage, they commanded the play. And we wanted to believe that some frenzy might conceive a way to elevate, levitate our spirits stuck in a prose play. Audience we, sipping at this worldly display, sound and vision combined to hide the lines upon their faces as they ranged, as younger lions made their way to learn the ways of age. Cover bands had sheet music, new chorus and refrain. Hungry in the hunt, they ate their elders, imbibing them in a ritual as old as time fades. One day, they will play their greatest hits, recycling riffs of a younger rage, hot and sweating, wanting only whatever they might take. This is the way of muse. To eat the old, to impress the young, every pup takes his parents on. This is the stage for every generational play. Open the stage and take them all away. Hey! Yep, yo, very good. I've often wondered about the club. Okay, this is, I come from what they call the oldest land and things with stories. It's, my friend had a friend who was full blood, and his name was Junda. And Junda could, you know how we have telepathy? You knew I'd say that, right? Well, they don't have telepathy. What they have is telepathy. If, say, 3,000 miles away, a member of their family is ill, they would feel what they're feeling, and they'd go, I must go, straight away. So that has nothing to do with this. It's called Aniyunwaya. All stories teach us, sing the names, Koga the raven, Yansi the buffalo, Yona the bear. Whether Lakota's white buffalo woman or Yasalagi's arrow woman, the story is the same. In an age when animals and humans actually heard each other, near the Blue Smoke Mountains, a brave warrior woman came upon the great book Tena at the sacred lake of Atagahai. She learned of the Creator's gift of pipe, bowl, and sacred tobacco, Tesura. Red clay bowl, woman from the earth, stick of man, to be joined only in sacred purpose. Assembled, inhaling smoke, allowing spirit to enter, exhaling to connect to Creator. This gift of Creator demands high standards from pipe bearers, purity of intention essential. No one has seen Uktino or Atagahai since Zen. You are pipe bearers. Listen. Yona, Koga, Yangtze still sing enchantments. Assemble your pipe for sacred purposes. To listen is to learn. All stories are sacred. Share the pipe dreaming. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's just a story. Yeah, I've got 3 calendars tonight, gift of time. So if you need some extra time. And you notice how there used to be deer in Austin, right? There still is in Westlake, right? And then what happened is they shot them, and now they got wire deer for Christmas, white deer with Christmas light. So I just thought everything's like that. They'll make a museum to South Austin once they demolish us. Once they'll say, well, there used to be poetry. No, they didn't. Yes, we've got a recording of it. We recorded that night at the Full English. No. What happens is we love the wild when it's caged, deer shot, replaced by wire deer, eagle on coin still threatened by guns. Benghazi to Boston, focus on fear when bravery is a volunteer, underpaid, one whose values actually build community yet get displaced by bureaucracies. Happens to community radio, permaculture farms, communes, schools, hospitals, hospices, wherever altruism is collectivized, individuals get shunted out when organizational structures displace and replace original initiatives. Different skill sets. Look at those volunteer plants in your gardens. They stay. Productive, anonymous, despite drought hearts and dry emotions. Persistence is all. To be zen in the midst of storms. Calm at the core of hurricanes. Never waste a second upon fear, loss, insecurities. Release all. Wings wide, lift off into a fresh moment sky where everything is possible. 13, Wallace Stevens. 13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird. Okay, forget about it. Never happened. We haven't got time for that. So I just put 13 ways of looking, all right? Forget the blackbird. You never saw a blackbird, just 13 ways of looking. 1, thou shalt look into, around, within, before, during, and after. 2, thou shalt tilt all visions and epiphanies with laughter. 3, thou dost not need to believe in anyone or anything. 4, the evidence of your senses is self-limiting. 5, everything you've seen has been seen before. 6, every vision is unique to every individual. 7, your whole body is animal attentive. 8, vision quests are threatened species. 9, you have your fathers, your mothers, your grandparents, your ancestors' eyes. 10, peripheral visions also illuminate skies. 11, most of what you see and remember clearly tonight will be fog forgotten in the morning. 12, supplement your night vision with daydreamings. 13, bees and flies have compound eyes. Learn from them. There was a feminist poetry festival a couple of weeks ago at Houston Tilson, and it was really, really, really good. It was open-hearted. They let the other half of the human race in, and I wrote this poem there called Adam. We had to take a myth like the Garden of Eden and invert it. Okay, so I wrote this one in response to, it wasn't an apple. We all know that. It was a pomegranate. And of course, Adam had 2 wives. His first wife was Lilith. But you all knew that. Anyway. Eve was, he only went with Eve because she was submissive. but he had a wild one, Lilith, who wouldn't obey. Anyway, it's still about that. Adam said to Eve, forget about Lilith. I love apples and pomegranates. Forget Persephone, forget Demeter, forget Penelope, forget Hathor, forget Bridget, forget Diana, forget Carly, forget Shakti, forget Margaret Thatcher, forget Barbara Sear, forget Hillary Clinton, forget power dressing. Eve said to Adam, well, I prefer snakes to anything in this garden to relate.
Like an orphan whose parents survived, I am cast out into sea with no compass to guide me into the new voyage of learning what it's really like to be loved. The terrific pleasure of escaping the clutches of dying for acceptance is close to learning you have an inheritance that can resolve any question you may have had in regards to being royalty. Like the vigilante Princess Leia, armed with only her will and a blaster stolen from a stormtrooper, I run through the Death Star and escape into my awaiting vessel, set forth to take me to my rebellion's HQ. My parents were killed, one by a broken heart, another by hatred. For Halloween, I used to dress up like her with my long brown hair and the signature buns on either side of my head, and loved Han Solo with all my heart. I guess I still do. But you know, that fool ain't all that. He got caught. If I do resemble that of a Skywalker princess, I am sure that I too can conquer the overwhelming loss by acquiring a new family as she did, because I have. Not only am I adopted by my darling, loving children, but I gather a namesake from all who I come across, because I know that I am indeed the hierarchy, because I recognize you. We had a family holiday together, and it was free from all the desperate attempts at pleasing other people and clouding how successful I am, because I do everything right. I have dirt on my face, I'm a big disgrace, and I enjoy admiration, stimulation, and celebration. The pirates claim that the waters I voyage are not of the sort that can be easily traveled, and I welcome it. I set forth knowing that my flag is set, and I am the pirate king, and it is a marvelous thing. Thank you.
Love the Star Trek reference.
Yeah. The wise woman there. Gospel according to the Fast and Furious 6.
Yeah.
If you see the Fast and Furious 6, you'll notice how they constantly mention, you're my family, man, you're my family. Well, I thought to myself, wait a minute, these are all individuals, right? They don't have a sexual relationship except two of them. One has a child out of wedlock, and they call themselves a family. Has nothing to do with this. But then the Gospel according to Hangover, part, what was it? Is it 3?
19.
3. The last. I hope they never make another Hangover. I love you, man. And right near the end, you know Chow, the Chinese guy, and Alan, the bearded guy, who began the carcass, he says, Chow, yes, you're my friend. No, we can't be friends anymore. Why is that? Because every time we're friends, people get hurt. Yes, that's funny. That's how bad the film is. Bottled emotions. This is based upon that fact that someone, Toots and the Maytals, someone threw a bottle at the Toots. Did you know that? And I did a research, I do my research as a pub, and I found out that it's not the first bottle being thrown. My sister's first husband used to run concerts at the university, and they had the Stranglers there, and the Stranglers were having cans thrown at them on stage because they were shit. And then the Stranglers, being punks, picked up full beer. No, that's right. They threw the cans back. So then the audience, being tougher than them, threw full ones back. Anyway, that's nothing to do with this. Bottled emotions. Crowd scene, compressed aggression. The bottle flies out of the crowd, hits Toots, Justin Bieber, Pitbull, Panic at the Disco, Black Veil Brides, Limp Bizkit. In Liverpool, only plastic cups allowed. Even so, Morrissey storms off drenched with water. Responses responded to. Stranglers throwing full beer cans back into the blind Brisbane crowd. Keith Richards hitting a fan with his guitar. Amy Winehouse elbowing the innocent at Glastonbury. Courtney Love hitting a member of her audience with a mic stand. Simulated sex gets aggressive when Tim McGraw and Danny Brown get their fan junk handled. Kings of Leon suffer from the white sarcasm of overflying pigeons. Time is no longer in the bottle, Jim Crochet. Bottled up emotions evoke makes of their heroes targets, bodyguards from stalkers, celebrity addicts. Crowds need to shrink to circles of sentience. Equal in jammin. Bring back folk sharing so bottles can be shared round ancient campfires, not thrown from a bottled rage to a blind anger stage.
Nice.
I said that! I said that! I said that!
I don't have a bottle.
That's true, but you've got one on the table. It's going to be shared. It's going to be passed around. You don't do that, you see, because we're in not one on stage and everyone angry at the one on stage. But I was astonished that there were so many people who had bottles thrown at them. Pitbull and all those, Justin Bieber, who I always call him Justin Bieber because, you know.
He kind of deserves a bottle thrown at him.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve anything, poor guy. He's a victim. Suffering, yeah, I really do. I mean, look at the media publicity he's getting. It's all bad. No one likes him.
But he's Canadian.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you've got to love Canadians. Actually,
No,
this,
I don't.
no. This true story.
Hey,
I'm
leave
doing
Canadians alone.
today
Most
is
of my
Saturday,
work
right?
these days is being
Thursday
Somebody
night
hug this guy.
at the Kenny Drone's backyard. We're doing word jazz, and a guy comes up. I've just done a piece with the band, and he said, "You know, I closed my eyes and I asked the people around me, what does that guy on stage dressed in strange colours sound like?" And they all said, "Mike Myers." Yeah, he sounds like Mike Myers. So this guy's a friend of Mike Myers. So what he did, he used one of those little funny things, not wind up anymore, the cameras in a phone. And he filmed us, and he was going to do something called uploading it to a thing called the internet. Have you heard of that? And he's going to contact Mike and make us famous and rich. I didn't believe it either. Says about that. Oscar Wilde in the office. Poor Dylan Thomas never mastered the day job. T.S. Eliot had to work in the bank. Wallace Stevens in insurance. Dr. William Cullis Williams. George Orwell, journalist. Ernest Hemingway, journalist. Essayists and short story writers. How many seduced to Hollywood to write screenplays like The Great Gatsby? Hey, tell me. More authors become personalities on a touring circuit like Dickens, Twain, Oscar Wilde on tour before celebrity and name recognition sold pulp. Before Dali and Warhol, Oscar Wilde made mannerisms and quips his art and income. Pre-Dorothy Parker, quotable and eclectic, edited Williams' Woman's World well, while writing his portrait of Dorian Gray After Hours. Sinecures, patronage like Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, fame finds fame and gossip columns self-referentially appealing. Narcissus complains that fashion columns owe too much to Oscar Wilde. Whether we know it or not, Paris Hilton and all those Kardashians fill the spotlights carved from the rock of resistance sculpted by Oscar Wilde a century before them. Journalism becomes reportage, becomes myth-making in the hands of genius. Who do we have as literary giants now? Who can keep the day job and write novels by night? Peter Carey, Tom Wolfe, or ghosts of dear, dead David Foster Wallace, living Jonathan Franzen's imaginary freedom? Hey! Oh, they're getting hungry. They're getting hungry. Now they want to be heard. It's really good. So stir them up. Wait.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, see?
I missed my 3, 2, 1, and I keep missing recording him, and I very much want to record him.
Can't do it. It's too fast.
I will record you.
Good luck. I'm imaginary.
He is a figment of your imagination, Mr. Camera, by the way, when you see him.
Big late.
He is an illusion, aren't we all? At any rate, I'm going to do this because it's the easiest song I got to do without any musicians, and all it requires is a backing beat from everybody else. Please help me. What I need is this. You sure do think rather highly of yourself, Mr. Crowley. Look what you did to Ron Hubbard and LaVey. Now bless you, darling, for leaving me your number. But your sums still don't add up to this mother's name. You don't need to laugh at the whole world's pain, Mr. Crowley. I don't believe you've attended to your own.
I don't think this has ever happened before.
So take heart, my dear, in the face of seeming evil. You got another date with your lover down the road. Beware of the fruit of the knowledge snake, Mr. Crowley. As it's mainly when we're tripping that we may fall. You don't need to pave all the hidden paths to the holy. These brilliant children are already living alone.
Yeah.
So rise with the light of the morning star, Mr. Crowley. Stay bent to the will of the gods, your soul unchained. It's not polite to make fun of the dead, Mr. Crowley. When you got another life of laughter on the way.
Thank you.
To quote a very, 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 very dear friend of mine, I don't agree with a single thing he said. I have seen moments where the forces of nature required midwives and doctors and nurses. I have seen moments where my wife had to grit her teeth and I held her hand, attempting to be my charmable best as the spinal tap was introduced to her spine. I have seen the forces of nature come to such a head that my son, and I might mention my daughter, twice over, came into the hands of someone I had never met. As they slipped into that doctor's arms, they offered me the scalpel, the little scissor things. And it's like a primordial sense that says, in all that craziness, you know what you're supposed to do. So I took them. I took the scalpel, and they held out the umbilical cord. It wasn't as if I thought, Scott, because I always have a little voice that's saying, Scott, do this, calm down, chill out, have fun, relax. You need a job, get the job. This one wasn't any such voice. It was as if the hands into which the scissors had been laid said, go that way. So I cut it twice over, mind you. It's a lot thicker than you might think. roughly 6 years later, in a wave of what I think is inspiration, I wrote a poem. How it's at that point a hand reaches down and untethers you from the earth, and the boat of you floats out into the sea. And you never know what the other boats are going to be like that you bump into. You bump into some and it sort of goes clunk. And you bump into others and it goes and you go, what? So the second poem came around. Mind you, this happened twice. I gave that poem to a lot of people I knew, roughly 30-something people. And they all said, "Oh my God, I don't want to be a boat lost at sea. This poem's depressing." Of course, there's the Scott boy saying, "Ha! That's the most cool thing you can have. A sense of detachment, a sense of peace, bouncing around on the deep blue sea with the moon over your head, nobody on board, not even you. Boom, 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 boom." Of course, Hemingway pops up all flippin' time, which is really weird. So I wrote another poem. And I only bring this up because this is the point I think many of us are trying to make, that it's not idolatry to say that many moments can be just as fabulous. This is not a quantitative exercise. This is not a volume from 0 to 10. This is not some Colonel Kurt sitting in a forest saying, "Don't use your judgment." This is being whoever you want to be or who you are at the time, then and now, always. So it was not with a bit of dishonor I wrote the next poem called "The Music of Knocking Boats." I set both my children free from their mother. Yet had I not, someone else would have done it for me. What sweet music. What sweet music. Dear souls, tap against one another in the dark. Because you know, if your heart is in that moment that it beats with them, theirs beats with you too. My kids, mind you, won't get this poem until much, much later. We don't know where this starts. Mind you, I have spent a great deal of time in deep meditation wondering, where does this start? I have yet to find an answer. The only answer I have is that no one has ever found an answer, nor will they. It's the sweet, gentle tidal seas that happen to bump us together that matter. Love you guys. Thanks.
I carry this with me in my car at all times, particularly when I meet cynics. I beat them over the head with it and ask everyone, "Do you have a copy of this?" And if they say, yeah, you gave it to us long ago, then I remind them that that's in the first edition, where 400 copies of this were made for people who knew who Deb Akers was. Now you don't, so let me just tell you who she was. Do you have a copy? Would you like it? Well, we'll give you one page. Deb Akers set up the readings of Bookwoman, okay, which are continuing on the, I think, the second Thursday of every month. It goes, and that's been going now for about 5-6 years. She also set up Share Your Stories, which is on the third Fridays from 1 to 3 at Twin Oaks Library, where people just get together like this, and everyone adds their stories into the soup, like stone soup for the metaphor. She also did the children's part of the Austin International Poetry Festival, which was the most successful event because 300 lots of parents all bought a copy of the book because their children were in it, right? So they're all there in Rudemeyer, hundreds and hundreds of parents. And all the poems are true about her life. She came from Louisiana, she came to Austin, she ran the poetry festival and no one else would do it, but she never made a big thing, or look at me or anything like that. It was always just service, which leads me into the July 6th expression, where gathering together people who are forming intentional communities successfully, like Harold McMillan with Diverse Arts, who puts on the jazz and blues festivals, and on nothing. He puts things together and gets people out of their egoic states. And in Salado, a woman there called Jackie Mills, for the last 21 years, has put on the story of Salado back to the Spanish people, and before that the indigenous people, the Tonkawas. And it's done by the people of the village of Salado, all volunteers, 102 people in the cast, from baby size to elders, 101. And that's been done every year. And she wrote the songs for it, and they enact the Civil War. Salado fought on the side of the South in the Civil War, and all the stories are done to inform the people of their own history, done by the people, which is a magnificent concept. You think of community theatre, so she'll be down there. And then there's a woman called Anya Deshawn, who at her own place every month forms the Osmic City Cafe, where people come, have a potluck first, they eat first, talk, and then they perform for and with each other. And collaboration, improvisation, and originality are the themes. And she has her own TV show on community TV, where the film of the open mics like this, like the one you're making, is screened on TV to show people that there is still a living culture which allows people to pop their peas pleasantly and piquantly and positively and probably forever.
I can't drink those out.
I know you can't. I mean, stretch it further. But I'm saying that book, there's 3 or 4 stories about that book. I go to a Lebanese garage on Access Road of Ben White, Accent Motors, because we have a relationship that goes back about 10 years. I was handed down like a body in the vault from one person in the family to the next person in the family when they gave up selling cars and that. I bought a car from Rajiv. Rajiv anglicised his name for Americans, but he was Rajiv, and he stopped selling cars and he handed me to George. George used to be a waiter, and now he sells cars and fixes them. And the Lebanese people love poetry because they have a poet in their culture called Khalid Gibran, who's famous in this culture for the Prophet, but is more famous in their culture for all the stories he said about uniting Lebanon, which is still full of factional groups fighting each other. So when I was in my homeland, my landlady was psychic and she was Lebanese, and I used to run open houses for homeless people, and I got evicted from my own house because I had 14 homeless people there, and that was stretching the limits as far as I could. But I still kept doing it as long as it was possible because there needs to be spaces for people, and there aren't enough. So she said to me, I know you've got homeless people staying in my home. My brother wants you out. But I know my country's people's poet, Khalil Gibran. So as long as you're doing poetry, and as long as I'm alive and I own the house, you've got a home for the rest of your life. And I would still be living there, except I'm somehow here in this strange movie called Austin, Texas, which is unbelievable. I mean, I at the Melbourne Film Festival, I see this film called Slacker, and I think that's an unusual movie. It's a bit like Breathless, you know, it's like a French movie done by an American. Okay, I'll sit through it again and see what's going on here. There's no script, it's based on conversations, it's improvised obviously, and it's a work of genius. So I loved it so much, ended up here, and started meeting the people in the film. So life is not just a multiplex of possibilities. Life is something more than a book, but that book in particular, I take it to Hot Mamas, and there's someone who, I love cynics because The word for cynic it comes from the Greek word kainos, which is the word for dog. And they would say, if they found a cynic, they'd beat them with sticks and say, get a positive philosophy, get a positive philosophy. Which is really important, you know, because if you haven't got a positive philosophy, you're reacting to the world rather than dancing with it. So there's this guy sort of saying, yeah, I could do better than that. I said, look at this. And he opens up, he says, wow, the first poem in the book. He just completely blew him away. And so he just sat with it during the reading. He just sat there and just absorbed it. Another time I'm at the garage and there's a woman there doing the cynical thing, you know, sneering at the world. So I hand her the book and she said, I don't read, I've got my phone. I said, don't read, but just have a look at that poem. Just have a look. And she looks, opens the book, around it, and she starts crying. She said, my mother died of cancer and I never had the time to grieve for her. And so Deb died of cancer last year. And her husband asked her, as she was dying, you've made a lot of books, because she's also the editor of Borderlands Literary Journal and the editor for the anthology for the Poetry Festival in Austin. You've done a lot for other people. What would you like before you die? And she said, I'd like a book of my own out. And then she died before it could be done. So he made that book as an act of love. And as I said, the first edition was 400, and that was for people who knew Deb. The second edition of 200 is for people who don't know about her. And that's, most people I know, instant disposable memory. If you haven't had a continuous association with a person, oftentimes it will be like a lightning flash that's forgotten as fast. So that's the second edition that we're going through now. We're down to the last box of the second edition. And when they all go, I'm going to go around to Don, who's a recluse, her husband's a recluse, and say, well, what do you want to do now?
No.
What?
I said I'll take one.
Okay, well, you will. So I'll get another copy for you. But what I'm saying is, it's not the book per se. The book is only evidence to show people that there is goodness and intelligence and altruism in this world, and it has power and force. It is not a victim. It is not a suffering thing. It is not a reactive thing. It is a dancing thing. She did so much. It's taken 5 people to keep alive what she's doing. You know, the Bookwoman readings are being kept alive by Cindy Hauser. The Shago stories are being kept alive by Ralph Hauser. The children's anthology is done by Barbara Carr. The Borderlands is done by people in New York. And all 5 people to do what one person did. So the book is evidence that poetry lives and people's poetry lives. She used to go selectively to venues. She would like a venue like this where everyone was welcomed and it wasn't a sign up and, you know, vicious or a slam or anything like that, where it was like a conversation. She always loved places where people could eat as well, because that helps ground the whole thing. You know, the bar and saloon culture tends to sort of get people as you put like a balloon in the sky away from their own being, and they get a bit weird. But that has nothing to do with anything.
It has a lot to do with everything.
Well, yes and no, maybe. Age is in the mirror laughing at us. Everything you ever wish for is in this present moment. When you arrive here tonight, abundance. When you leave, nothing will last. These gifts of life, air, motion, mobility, alacrity of intelligence, they are parcel, portion, particle consciousness to each, all, every. Some trade them in on sensation, some for a short spin demonstration. More will ignore all signs, symbols, auguries, stars falling, warning. Some will trade belief for good company. Mirror lies shows a you may not scry. Your eyes choose what you want to see, peripheral visionary, and when you wake from cocoon dreaming, a little less exists. Dandruff, hair, air, all wholly used by date there. Wait slowly, breathe deeper. All you can see, hear, smell, touch exists in this present moment tonight. It is a gift. Everything sings, from hidden crickets. Oh, I love the book by Lam Cohen. Have you read that one? Let Us Compare Mythology. Anyway, he's got this haiku, which is one of the best haikus I've ever heard. The very, very best is by an English poet called John Cooper Clarke, and it goes like this. Expressing one's thoughts in 17 syllables is very difficult. Well, this is the second best haiku from Thom. First the silence, after the cricket's cry. Next the silence, when even the crickets hesitate. So everything sings, from hidden crickets to atheist mountain, from last rainforest to baby coo, from birds in trees to church choir Sundays, from your humming iPod to thrash metal. Turn the volume up. Hear subterranean worms beneath thundering down stethoscope tunnels. Turn the volume down. Hear spaces between silences colliding, our audible range tiny as a bird's leg, stuck in a forest of sounds. Dogs hear more than and howl. Moon clicks in a dark space. When you wake up, even when you dream, everything sings. There is a song you remember from childhood or before. It sings you when you are disconnected, disconnecting. It affirms where you came from and where you're heading, as well as where you are right now. It is specific to each of us. For some, Gaelic Celtic roots haunt dream-singing evenings. Others, native France, Edith Piaf's Little Sparrow. Some are of indigenous origins, know seasons in their skin, aware of sacredness and connectedness of all living beings. May have or seek totems through vision quests, return to sweat lodge and pipe ceremonies. Sacred this search, everyone faces all directions. What you do now will find your future. Go to cleansing sweat or smoke of shared pipe. What is most sacred is a search to find who you really are, from where you've been, and which direction will find your future, ready, waiting, returning you to origins. Maya was a goddess, and they named this month after her. This is for Maya. As the darling buds of May bring forth gardens, night rains replenish drought arts, sunlit souls starve for harmonies, drink in light, as bee to flower, green abundance and bright blue skies, sunshine calm, manifesting connection between all human, animal, plant worlds, cetacean, mammalian, align in a conscious co-creating evolutionary process, all dreams align in transparent harmonies with muse and music as soundtracks, all that you wish for manifests, life links with like, aligns with happiness. When you wake up from this dream, it's time to begin again. And this is based on a book by Alice Walker, who wrote The Colour Purple. It's a beautiful book called Absolute Trust in the Goodness of the Earth. You know, we may go, but the earth itself will keep going. And it's about the people who come Tuesday night to Rudamaya. Ajari has seizures, starts singing his death chant. I remind him we're all leaving at different rates. He knows base fear connects him to here. When he releases, his songbird appears. Christian poets come to Rudamaya to sing. They're Detroit, North Carolina connecting. Brave souls digesting West African cuisine, respecting diversity in circles within. Stephanie must dance at expose to pay her rent. She writes the life of a single parent. Her sharp eyes define distances between payment and dream. Bob's earth arts muds await another day, where children of all ages will play, trusting in the good earth the way they say Gaia sings to us in her own way. Each wants connection, tribe, origin, listening for pure freedom of expression. Limits and laws and borders define why we close down each Tuesday night at 9. For if we all could speak as we truly please, no metaphors would be needed. Life, our poetry. So what's the time? We got 5 more minutes. Anyone want to say anything? No, thank you for being. You know, that's a gift, is listening. Yeah. This is by my friend Deborah Hall, who's a recluse. To question is always right. To dream, to think, to inquire. To cast aside darkness for light, even if it involves treading the high wire. Too many people just don't want to know anything except complacency. They're smug, they're grey, their life lacks that glow of interest. Their life seems a fallacy. It can be a tricky trapeze act sometimes, not knowing how far to walk one's curiosity into another person's mind, whether to stalk responses unrelentingly or stay on a leash employing tact. I couldn't be with someone who locked away their mind and numbed their senses. Keep flowing, querying, bubbling over, delighting in sun rays. Keep thinking, projecting, feeling, living fully, feeling always. Deborah Hall. Every day I change my name. Wear a new zoot suit to confuse the critical jury of peers, whose dangling participles end my life sentence with a preposition for. Every act we make becomes another us. Compare and contrast you young with you future. The two become manifold when spread like cards or peacock's feathers. We contain multitudes, crowding emotions with unresolved tensions, releasing thought balloons within prevailing opinions, making philosophy a cement, prayer a habit, dreams a necessity, torchlights in darkness, examples of others, each spark of light a compass, follow where the road is clear, when not, stop. Wait. It will come, the part of you, remembering you, whoever you may be. It is always good to carry an alphabet of possibilities. And just the last little bit. Cryotherapy. I am your town crier. If you are sad, seasonal affective disorder, or love has left, or you feel dispossessed, or jobs are lost, or costs too high, I will cry with you. We will sit and shed tears together. Forget why, just cry. Every village needs an idiot, a set of stocks and a town crier. We have all three. Our stock is rising as more reasons for tears are uncovered. We discover even more when we begin. There is only oceans to fill with all this global warming. Lakes will fill, refill, tears will trickle to a flash flood, drown if you will, as long as someone is here tonight to share your tears. You do not need a reason, just some listening companions. That's why all my friends have dogs. That's why I have a rescued cat. Cats don't cry. My cat don't cry, no way. She just laughs. Christian has just returned to us. It's been a while.
I thought so. I'm excused from the life I once knew and built around me to protect me of the true reason for breath. And yet you tell me if I were to say anything more than just the common things, you would understand. Did you understand? Was I to inhale the way of your life and forget the way I breathe? I thought so. I ran away instead of walking slowly. I ran into what I've always wanted, freedom. I have nothing to lose but time. There is a little arm of land I want to conquer and remain in my 4-year journey to the sky. You can come, but I really think you'd really never follow. Would you? I thought so. Content with what you have, my friend? I hope not. Because now you don't even have me. I was told that our division was for the best, but we talked of forever. Forever was only 2 years. I thought so. Those were something I never could ever release. I'll hold them close in spirit, and our forever was just so much to me. I gained, I lost. Although my dreams are filled with lands unknown and mighty conquests I am to endeavor, I'll always hold you there in my dreams. I realize that we are no longer bound with promises of love. I am so glad that we are in friendship. May all our breaths be full, tall one. You want to breathe the same air? I thought so. I loved you for that, but I think you're not telling me something. There's a world that you want to conquer? A world for you? I thought so.
Just wanted to know about two people which you'll never meet. One's Patricia Fisk. She's 86. She lives in South Austin. She's doing her memoirs. She used to hang around with Harry Belafonte and the Cotton Club in New York. She was a wild girl. And she's writing her memoirs, and I wrote this to make sure she does her memoirs because no one else will. Same with every one of us. Unless you write your stories, no one else can. Treasure chest for Patricia Fisk. You own diamonds of perfect pearl experience. No one else can tell your stories. Exemplars aged and left before you, stage prepared for your light to shine. Now you are perched to dispense your diaries, memories, and memoirs. You find forms that are appropriate, drape them in shades of art. Each one is a part of your skin. Lips, ears, eyes, legs, feet, all accomplices, accessories, co-conspirators. In those adventures you have wrapped like carpets. Now, as you release, they find their wings, spark with battery-powered heart. You are the stage, director, puppeteer. Audiences await your revelations. Wings are wide awaiting. The second is Alex Krushinsky, who works in a hospice in Huddersfield in West Yorkshire, and the weather was so bad in England this year, she got really ill because she's very sensitive. So I wrote this today for her to bring back her spirit, called Spells, Incantations, Chants, Affirmations, and Goodwill. You are connected at all times to everyone and everything you know. Mystery is a friend and a constant companion. You carry sunlight from Africa, Australia, Cornwall, and Texas. Everyone around you affirms you at all times. You are worthy of your art, your dreams, your breath, your life. You have many original moments yet to experience. Your life is a path, a journey, a story, a myth, a legend. You alone can do the sharing of this, yet you are never alone. Allow the seas and sand, rocks and waves of Cornwall to affirm you. Allow the bush of Africa and the outback of Australia to inform you. Allow the smiles and sunlight of South Austin to find you. Treasure memories as food to digest in tumultuous times. You are of light with rainbows after storms. You are of warmth with red heat heartbeat to warm. You are of life itself with bright spirits accompanying you. Plug in, shine. This will always be your time. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Thom.
Thank you, Jeremy. Wonderful music, man. Wonderful. Yep. There yours. Shake, shake. Yeah, shake. They may not be here next time. This is a precious every time.
We have put stars in the tip jars.
They did, you did. Did you make the stars?
Yes.
They're wonderful, wonderful. Everyone asked me why they. I said they are works of art. They are beautiful handmade. Very great.
Make a rattler out of stars.
You're following me? Oh shit. Do you know how to swerve?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I just watch you swerve and stay back.
2 cars.
Just call a big van cab, come pick us up.
Or not. Or we could
Or
just
not.
take the tank.
Tank.
I can drive the tank.
Just bring the tank, for sure.
Alright.
But Mama Sita's got to bring her car. Either way, and we're kidnapping Scott. We're kidnapping Scott tonight.
That's good for him.
He's gone.
He'll enjoy that. He'll love being kidnapped.
There's a taco cabana.
Taco everywhere. Thanks for being here.
Oh.
Aha, you didn't get that one. Yeah, did he?
That's probably my favorite book.
You like that book? Oh, I really do. Wait for the next one. The next one's coming out next week. It's called Taylor Swift and Me. It's a true story about
I
Taylor
still
Swift.
like this one, just because of the cover.
But you haven't seen the next one.
That's
it's got a picture
alright.
of me and Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
All digital.
Taylor's got a picture of you in a digital too.
That's right. Yes, you got it. It's a digital world, baby. Everything's illusion.
I am a 21st century digital boy.
You are. Thank heavens you are. Because without you,
There would be no me.
there'd be no you.
That's for sure.
You can't say that. It's yours. Okay, I'll give this to Scott.
Right.
Yeah, Scott, there you are. You get the book. Lucky you. That's because they were kind enough to share
What
that
happened?
one. Thank you.
Thank you. We're getting ready to go.
What do you mean? Oh, shit.
What are we doing? We closing up?
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock, baby. You'll be here since 6.
I have one more in you.
Hey, Dad's
Had one more in you?
Take you to a
Sure,
taco.
that's up there.
You've been kidnapped, you lucky man.
Well, I think the
I don't even know. I think that stuff might still be on.
luckily
Yep.
the PA people are outside.
Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you. Oh, it's wonderful.
Thanks for staying, guys.
Great.
Appreciate it. Thanks for sharing.
Good music,
Thank
isn't
you.
it? Thanks a lot. Great. And it looks like the bowls are empty. Thanks for surviving. Thanks for listening all that way. Very good.
Everything right around here, there's a Jack in the Box, there's a Whataburger, there's a Wendy's, there's a
on the I have money coming in on Tuesday.
I mean food, I mean I've got the porridge.
Sure.
Okay.
At this point,
Taco
I mean, since I don't know where my
cabana,
money's
black
coming from,
bean
where.
tacos.
I'm not turning it down by any means.
They're spectacular. Are you kidding me? In a row. Oh, that smells awful. I swear Taco Man hates me.
I'm gonna get it.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not going to. Did it flash for a second? I feel like it might have flashed.
For a point of a lighter flash, but it was just enough to.
Boy.
You want mine?
Welcome.
And there's one of them there doing
Go on display. What do you mean to go on display?
Thanks very much for being here.
Wow, you got bombarded. Sorry,
It all happened so quickly.
the one in war.
girls. Yes.
And that was really good, that last one, defining yourself from other people's projections.
So they're ongoing things.
It's like a train coupling and uncoupling from other people's characters. You know, you have to always say, well, you've got yours, and
Oh, me too.
you know.
Yeah.
It won't be. But here's
Scott, get your stuff.
I got my stuff.
Get your stuff, man.
Oh, first. Ow. 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 Woohoo! 2 hours and